Let's go.
Awesome. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Joy, the marketing lead here at Fera. I'm really excited to kick off today's interview and welcome Tom Gandhi, an SEO whiz who's worked with some truly incredible brands. One of my personal favorites being Pangaya, along with Wild Nutrition and many others. Tom has a rare ability to turn search into a real growth engine, and I'm so excited to deep into his insights, experiences, and practical strategies with you all today. Tom, I know I gave kind of a bit of an introduction, but did you still want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Tom. Worked in SEO my whole career, pretty much. Fell into it as you often do with SEO. Worked at agency for most of my career, and about 4-5 months ago went full-time consulting, working in a plethora of different businesses, not just e-commerce anymore, but also in like cross-border solutions, some SaaS businesses. But my bread and butter is SEO. I'm staying very close to the ground with the changes to search, and still working with some really great brands, evolving their search strategies as well. So super excited to be part of this conversation.
Awesome. Well, we can kind of get started right away in the questions. And I know this is probably something that you will review when you're working with new clients, but I'd love to know, what are some of the most common technical, SEO issues you encounter on e-commerce marketplaces, whether it's Shopify, Wix, and how do you typically resolve them or provide a solution to them?
Yeah, so Shopify, I guess if I work through the platforms that I've worked with most, Shopify generally doesn't have too many technical issues, just purely because it's you get what you get, and it's a very strong solution for a lot of merchants. There's a lot of technical optimizations you can make. That's not to say that without them you won't be able to perform. But Shopify is probably one of the better platforms for general, like, ongoing technical problems. Once you fix them or improve the site, you generally don't need to keep revisiting it unless it's like a headless build, for example. I haven't worked too much with Wix, only a couple of times in my career. It seems to be a very good entry-level platform. Again, you can improve it as much as you can improve it. But I have worked with Magento probably second most, following Shopify, and that's, I guess, the sort of platform where there are a lot of improvements to make technically from what you get out the box. And again, it's not to say that you can't perform without those improvements, but you run the risk more frequently, I would say, with Magento to actually have technical issues, and that could be from like a filter indexation, from a crawlability, how your products are configured, and then also in the background of that is that you have these catalog URLs, which is essentially how you stipulate your categories, and then you have a front-facing version, which is the optimized version, and so brands sometimes don't completely remove that back-end version, and it becomes a bit duplicated. So that's just a quick example of it, but I would say Shopify is very good generally. Magento, you need some tweaks and some refinement, and then I guess like the Wix and Squarespace of the world are a slightly more entry level, but as I say, I don't have a huge amount of experience with them.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned that at least for SEO on Shopify, it's set out extremely well. But do you notice that there are maybe any SEO opportunities that sometimes Shopify stores overlook or maybe are missing?
Yeah, so technically they're built really well, but from an optimization point of view, that there's always the technical optimizations and on-site optimizations from an SEO standpoint are where a lot of brands that have just entered into, say, the Shopify store, if they haven't worked with anyone on their SEO and on their configuration before, they'll often not be well optimized. So sometimes brands don't like to have, for example, on their category pages, collection pages, obviously on Shopify, they might not want to show customers what the collection title is, from like a styling point of view. But often if you neglect that, then you don't have an H1 for the collection page, which can work obviously against you in ranking the collection page for those key terms, like which are obviously very commercially focused. Breadcrumbs. So Shopify has the long product URL, the short product URL. It always defaults to the long product URL because that also allows you to build out the breadcrumb. It follows the path of the customer essentially. But that means that if a product sits in multiple categories, then it will have multiple different breadcrumb paths. So we'd always advocate to go to the short version, but before you do, you want to manually and statically build out your breadcrumbs for every product, so that a product will only ever have one breadcrumb trail. It's just a really good, advantageous way to link more to your key category pages and to emphasize them more, which normally transpires to improvements in performance. And then it's just like really the blog on Shopify is a really challenging one. Like, it's not great, it's not very commercial. So what a lot of brands end up doing is they start to use the page template rather than the blog template, because it becomes more of a landing page, way more customization opportunities. You can actually add a product carousel, a category carousel, and it becomes way more commercially focused and transactional than the blog could ever be. So that's one of the biggest limitations, I would say, currently with the Shopify blog. I'm not against it. It's good for just if you want long form content. But if you want to sell products at the same time, then it doesn't do the best job of that. I mean, there's probably more things I could go into, but I'd say they're the ones that I would say we most commonly fix immediately, just because they're once you've got them nailed right, it makes a difference.
Yeah. And just curious, I have a feeling that a lot of merchants, one of their common questions or the issues that they might be facing is, hey, Tom, I'm posting all of this blog content, I'm doing, what I'm supposed to do, but none of my content or none of my information is showing up on, for example, Google search results, right? I feel like that's always a common issue that a lot of merchants like to talk about. Is there a kind of a rough time frame or timeline that you kind of give to merchants? I know a lot of factors are involved in it, but when a merchant, or I mean, when a seller does kind of come to you with this issue, how do you typically respond to it?
Yeah, so I think it really does, and it's an SEO answer, but it does depend, because ultimately, if your site is really big, it gets called really frequently, it's often that you make a change and it gets picked up super quickly, like within a couple of days. If you're a smaller store, you get visited less, you generally have less authority because you're less well known. It takes a lot longer. And obviously also at the same time, if you have a really unclean page profile, and from that I mean you have a huge number of non-indexable pages and a really small number of indexable pages, Google and other bots are spending so much time calling those really low value pages because you've either not known to index them, you've got a parameter that is just infinitely causing a loop of discovery, or you're not using the robots.txt well enough. It means that you're not prioritizing those key pages, and those key pages might be the blog, for example, as you've mentioned there. And that's why that's then impacting the discovery of it, because every site technically has like a half-life of time that Google will spend crawling it, and the bigger the site, the more time it will spend. So if it's spending all its time crawling really low value pages that you don't want to be crawled, then you're obviously going to impact your ability to actually rank those key pages. So yeah, the big one is site cleanliness and healthiness. I do say obviously earlier on that Shopify is pretty good, but the more apps you add, the more complex it becomes, the more parameters start to be crawled and indexed, or crawled and non-indexed. So it really is a case of like continually just reviewing the page report in Search Console, seeing if they've currently like spiked massively. You need to understand why and what you need to do to stop that happening, so that then you can prioritize those key pages, and then you can actually make sure that the pages you want people to actually interact with are being interacted with.
Yeah, absolutely. I always feel like, especially with SEO, it's a marathon, not a race, right?
It is, but honestly, sometimes it's not, and sometimes you can make a change and it's like it's super instantaneous, and you wish it was always that way, because obviously SEO isn't really always that way. Not like the paid team has it. Like, you turn on the money tap and you start to make money. Yeah, but it is nice when that does happen. As I say, the bigger the store, generally the quicker the implementation is picked up, and the quicker you start to see results.
Yeah, that makes sense. Absolutely. Now, I know this is kind of an exciting topic, but back in September 2025, Shopify and OpenAI made an announcement on how Shopify merchants are going to be able to sell directly through ChatGPT conversations.
Yeah.
I'm curious, how are your initial thoughts when you heard this?
I mean, I've not seen, I think it's a very exciting announcement, and it certainly was at the time, but I think it's kind of been shrouded now by the announcement with Google and Shopify 2 days ago. which seems way more exciting, seems way more current, seems like they're going to be able to implement it much more quickly. And you're already seeing UCP code on the Shopify sites. So that shows that they're already pushing forward with this relationship. There's already a product preview feature in Shopify to show you what the agentic protocol will be displaying and if it's displaying the right information. So OpenAI had a really good early mover advantage there, but they've just not capitalized on it. And like they still haven't got the shopping feed into ChatGPT live. So ultimately the product, when you actually try and transact and shop in ChatGPT, the outcome isn't very good. It's not very in line with what you've searched. The product selection might not be great. It links to out of stock products, which obviously isn't very helpful. So I think there's a few key things that have slowed them down. But obviously Shopify have gone ahead and also now are in relationship with Google. So that could really, accelerate the agentic commerce future much more quickly. And we might all start using AI mode more frequently to shop, and same with Gemini. But it's a very exciting time, obviously, for search. Like we haven't had such a big shake up in ever. Well, I guess since you could start shopping online versus just retail, brick and mortar. I have no idea how long adoption will take for agentic. Like, people have to trust the bots, and right now I don't think people would trust the bots to make a shopping decision for them.
At least I know, even with at least on Amazon, when I'm shopping now, they're really pushing you to use Amazon Rufus. I'm not too sure if you had the chance to use it, but it's also their AI shopping assistant. If you log into your Amazon account, it's probably right there, and you can actually type in best hiking shoes that are waterproof, that are popular amongst women with 30 to 40-year-olds. And they actually give really accurate results, right? So I know ChatGPT has been doing quite a bit as well. Whenever I'm setting up something, they'll actually give me product recommendations, but probably not as advanced as to what Google is already doing right now.
Exactly.
And I guess, it's probably still in beta mode at OpenAI, but I'm curious, is there anything a Shopify store or seller can do in preparation for this, whether it's with ChatGPT or Google? Essentially, how can they make sure that they show up on these AI search results on ChatGPT and Google?
I think the biggest one fundamentally, and it's going to be the same with agentic shopping, is product data, depth of product data. How far do you go down that road? And by that I mean, the brands often just tick the basic box in product data, like where's the product come from, what's the fit type, but do they go further and say what activity is this particular product appropriate for? How do you wear it? What do you style it with? What's it made out of? What level of protection has it got? If it's waterproof, like how waterproof is it? Is it suitable for someone with a bad back or dodgy knees? I'm going very granular there, but just to give you an example of the depth people should be going to. The reason I say that is because the number of 5+ word searches people are searching now since ChatGPT went live last year has increased so significantly that people are searching way more specifically now. So people would search for, I'm a man looking for a hiking backpack in color black. It needs to be 100% waterproof. It needs to be suitable for someone with a bad back. Those sorts of questions people are asking LLMs. And ultimately, in order to your product to appear for that, you need to have the right product information on the product page. If you don't, and it's not clearly laid out, you're not going to appear for those specific terms. You're just going to keep trying to appear for those really basic searches that people are used to doing, like the traditional searches, but not really these much more long tail versions of it, which are way more specific. They want a specific type of product that's only suitable to their criteria.
Yeah. So it seems like really merchants, what they need to be doing now is kind of going back into their, I guess, product listings, making sure any accurate data is there. I guess more accurate, detailed information as much as possible. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm curious, do you think when it comes to customer reviews, do you think now it's also even more important than ever for, I would say, Shopify SEO or any, I guess, AI tools out there? Would you say it's even more important now?
Yeah. I mean, I think reviews have always been really important from a customer conversion standpoint, but from a from an EEAT, which is expertise, authoritativeness, and trust, experience, expertise. They added the extra E. From that perspective, social proof to say a product has got 3,000 reviews, 5 stars is a pretty significant indicator that that product is good. If that's not there, and ultimately we all shop, if their product reviews aren't there, and I'm bad for this, but I guess good for it as well. I will always do my due diligence. If they haven't got reviews, you're always way more skeptical. So there's two sides to it. Google really likes it because it shows the value of a product, that people like to engage with the product, and that it's a good product, which is a good tick box from brand advocacy from Google. But then from a customer standpoint, it's also really essential. And obviously these days with customer reviews, you've got the AI highlights of the reviews. You've got there's categories within the reviews. So if we're talking about, I don't know, trainers might say comfort, fit. You might have 3-4 different categories that actually fit the review. Is it suitable for a wide foot, for example? And then that just adds even more value for customers, but also for search engines to say, okay, this product is really good for people with wide feet, that really soft cushioning, it's good for road running. And that's just so valuable. And this will also tie really well into shopping in LLMs, because ultimately, if you're being shown 10 different products related to your search, and of that 10, only 2 have actually got reviews, you're going to look at the ones with reviews rather than the ones that don't have reviews. So really valuable there. And the same with for agentic as well. Ultimately, reviews are still going to be really important there. A brand might have an agentic storefront, and on that agentic storefront, you might be interacting with customers that have always shopped with you, but they also still want to see product reviews, because otherwise, why would they trust what the agentic shopping experience is showing them? So I think ultimately what I'm saying is they're very important. They're not going anywhere, and they're probably only going to become more important.
Yeah. And would you say there's any or other strategies that Shopify stores can do to, I guess, optimize their reviews to make sure that they're maximizing all of the benefits that they can get from SEO?
A big one we often do, and I think because apps reviews platforms are often apps, and they're often client-side rendered, is we try and get clients to connect to via API to a customer review platform, so that they can host the most recent 5, say, blogs, reviews, directly on the page. Because otherwise, what happens is they're only discovered once the JavaScript's rendered, because it's an app that has to render JavaScript to then see the reviews. So that's often a big one, because then Google will crawl the page, sees the HTML reviews straight away, and that's immediately way more efficient experience than them having to render the JavaScript. Additionally to that, the AI reviews summary, if you can have that, and if it's got the functionality, that's really valuable, because customers don't want to always read loads of reviews. They might just want to see what is the summary of all the reviews that this particular product has, which is obviously really helpful. We're all really lazy now. We don't want to do anything too laborious, apparently. So that's a good one. And then finally to that is something more technical, but having your structured data, making sure that you've got aggregate ratings implemented and that you're using the review section. So the review section is where you actually include 2 or 3 actual live reviews in your schema. And then aggregate rating is if you've got 1,000 reviews and they're 4.6 stars, you can list that in the schema, and then that will help you appear in search results with a star rating next to your product name, which is obviously really good, especially from a click-through rate point of view. If you're up against other products and other brands selling the same product, but yours has got 1,000 reviews and theirs has got none, you're obviously going to click on the one with the reviews.
Right. I guess this is just kind of a follow-up question to that, but do you think, I know there's no perfect answer to this, and to be honest, the answer is probably both, but do you find that star ratings are more important, or for example, text reviews are more important for a Shopify store?
Definitely both. Yeah. I think star ratings you can illustrate on Google directly if you have the right structured data in place, but then people want to also read the reviews. They want to understand how customers have found that product, and they want to actually get real life insight and understanding. I know I read the reviews, and if I see a set of reviews one after the other that are negative, I amongst loads of positive. You've got to assess it, because I know there's also some dodgy dealings going on with reviews sometimes, and people like to slate a product. So if you've got 1,000 reviews and 3 of them really recently have been bad, but everything else is great, you can use your common sense maybe. But I find them personally, when I'm shopping, that it is super valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Tom, I think those are the questions that I really wanted to ask. I think this has been such a great conversation. I really appreciate you sharing your experiences working with different Shopify stores, and really breaking down things in a very, I would say, practical way. Um, I guess in terms of, I would love to see if you have any final comments, any where maybe our audience can find you.
Yeah. So final comments is, if there's anything you want to be doing from a LLM and agentic point of view, is go as deep as you possibly can. Put yourself in the customer's shoes. What product information would you want to be shown when you're trying to convert? Like, go as far as you possibly can. A good starting point is also to use like ChatGPT to ask it, what are some really deep level like product attributes I could associate with this particular product, because it does come back with some pretty good ideas, and then it will give you some inspiration also to, like, based on the brand, based on who you are, based on your characteristics, based on your brand values, what attributes, what product information should we be illustrating on our product pages to really sell our products, but also to help give us the best possible chance to show up in LLMs. And then how to find me? You can find me on LinkedIn, Tom Gandhi, and yeah, I'm working as I mentioned with loads of different brands right now, whether that is on a project basis, retained basis. Yeah, always happy to have those conversations.
Awesome. Well, I think for everyone watching, I really hope you found this as helpful as I did. Please don't forget to subscribe for more conversations with industry experts, and I'll make sure, Tom, that we include all the necessary information in the description box so you can easily find him. Awesome. Perfect.